So, it's been a few years since the fine folks over at Square Enix let us know that Kingdom Hearts 3 was finally in production, but we still have seen very little in the way of gameplay or story cutscenes. What little we have received up to this point has been some admittedly thought-provoking concept art and a number of gameplay mechanics, but otherwise it's been a bit of a dry well. That being said, we did get another trailer at E3 last year, and it's given us a lot to think about.
キーブレード戦争って知ってる？大昔、キーブレード使いたちが光を奪い合ったってやつ。マスターから何度も聞いたさ。じゃあ、ロストマスターって聞いたことある？初耳だな。どこで聞いたんだよ。かの地で光は闇に敗北する。本当は知ってるんだろ？
The general consensus amongst fans is that this is a conversation between younger versions of Xehanort and Eraqus. Given that they mention the stories their master tells, it's more than likely that this conversation takes place during their time spent in the Land of Departure, training to become Keyblade Masters themselves. It has since been revealed that this conversation takes place verbatim within the new game, although we don't know when or how or for what purpose. What we do know, however, is that Kingdom Hearts has changed a whole hell of a lot since Kingdom Hearts 2, and that might be a problem. For those of us who have almost religiously followed this series from start to finish, Kingdom Hearts 3 is the culmination of every question, riddle, or theory we have ever had regarding the so-called Xehanort saga. But think about the countless fans that didn't pick up Birth by Sleep, whose knowledge of Xehanort begins and ends with, "Oh yeah, he was Ansem the Wise's apprentice, right?" To people who only played up to Kingdom Hearts 2 and have spent the last few years eagerly awaiting Kingdom Hearts 3, popping in that disc and being bombarded with terms like Keyblade and True Organization 13 or Keyblade War will be confusing and alienating. The unfortunate truth of the matter is that in the past few years, for all its incredible world building and storytelling, Kingdom Hearts has become confusing to newcomers. For a more real-world example, just the other day I was explaining the plot of Kingdom Hearts to a friend of mine who stopped playing after Kingdom Hearts 2. He had heard through the grapevine that the third game was coming out soon, and with a twinkle in his eye and a wish in his pocket, he looked at me and said, "Man, I wonder what it's going to be about." If he's starry-eyed and hopeful now, imagine how devastated he's going to be when instead of going on a wacky adventure with Donald and Goofy, the game throws an absolutely terrifying end-of-the-world existentialist nightmare at him. So, what's the solution, you might ask? Well, I think this trailer gives us the answer. I think it suggests that the opening sequence of Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be a flashback to Xehanort and Eraqus' amateur days of Keyblade wielding at the Land of Departure.
Someone else has set foot in your heart. Eraqus, you Slyfox.
Every fantasy story needs a fish-out-of-water character for the audience to identify with, and what better way is there to acclimate newcomers to Keyblade Masters, the Keyblade War, and all of this intense and complex Kingdom Hearts history than to have them play as Eraqus for the first hour or so of the game? Why Eraqus and not Xehanort, you ask? Think back to the Roxas segment of Kingdom Hearts 2. When we first played that game, we had no idea what a nobody was, and neither did Roxas. We learned as he did, and so when Organization 13 was introduced as the villains, we already had some knowledge about nobodies, their plight, and what it is they want. Eraqus, being the absolutely one-track-minded denizen of the light that we know him to be, can fill this role for us in this new game. Of course Xehanort knows about these ancient mysteries, but Eraqus knows so little. Their master can explain things to him, Xehanort can explain things to him, and he can learn things on his own that we as the player can then absorb. As I see it, it's the perfect way to give long-term fans something that they've wanted since Birth by Sleep was released, and it gives newcomers a chance to get their foot in the door of this massively complex series. Win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Raised my Keyblade against you and Ventus.
Now, just how exactly would this opening sequence play out? Well, that's a theory for another day. But until that day comes, my friends, you can find me in the lanes between.